Chase credit cards are super popular. All of us either have a Chase card or really want one. But with all the points that it earns, the annual fees, the rules around it, what's the best credit card strategy to create so you can earn a lot of points and make the best of your situation and your lifestyle? That's what we're talking about today. Hi, I'm Anisha, and today I'm going to share with you what my Chase credit card strategy has been over the past few years and what I plan to do with it over the next couple of years. Chase has a lot of credit cards, so we'll quickly go over what type of credit cards Chase has on the market and then get into the strategy part. I hope you'll stick around until the end because I'll be sharing with you my entire journey with Chase credit cards, which started in 2017. I believe it's quite a reasonable and achievable strategy for a regular spender like me. I'm not a big spender and I try to use my credit cards responsibly and wisely, so I think this can be very helpful for you to learn about. Before we begin, it would be great if you can hit the subscribe button so you never miss an update. Alright, let's begin. So, what type of credit cards does Chase have on the market currently? By the way, we won't be talking about business cards today, we'll only be focusing on personal cards. Any issuer typically has two types of credit cards. One is their own and one is a co-branded credit card. A co-branded credit card, you can think of it as the Southwest, the Marriott, the Hyatt. So basically, Chase is the issuer here, but the points that you're getting is someone else's. And then Chase has its own credit cards where Chase is the issuer and you're also getting Chase points. Think the Chase Freedom cards and the Chase Sapphire cards. The great thing about Chase cards is that it can offer you a tremendous value, be it a hotel or airline credit card or one of their own like the Chase Sapphire. But since there are so many of these, it's important for you to think about which ones you'll pick and choose to create your credit card strategy. The first thing to always keep in mind when you're creating a credit card strategy is to know what are the credit card application rules that the credit card issuer would apply to you. Now, if you don't know about Chase's world famous, not really, 524 rule, here's what it is. So, if you've opened 5 cards in the past 24 months, Chase is unlikely to approve you for one of their credit cards. These 5 credit cards are personal credit cards and they will not include business credit cards. But keep in mind that store credit cards that you open with a Gap or a Banana Republic will count against 524. When I learned about this rule first, I started to create a list of all the Chase credit cards that I currently care about or could care about in the next year or so, depending on my travel plans. What this helped me do was to get clarity on what credit cards I should focus on based on my travel plans, upcoming expenses, and budgets without getting distracted by all the million credit cards that Chase actually has to offer. Here's one more reason why creating a list of Chase credit cards that you care about is important. You can sort of create a calendar of your credit card applications so that you can prioritize Chase cards and move on to credit cards by other issuers such that you're no longer restricted by 524. But do keep in mind that other credit card issuers will have their own set of rules. These rules are typically less restrictive than the Chase's 524 rule, but today we're focusing on Chase credit cards, so that's what we'll talk about. Now let's talk about how you can create that list of Chase credit cards that you care about. I suggest 2 approaches here. Number 1 would be to think about your existing travel plans or your wish list travel plans in the next year or so. Think of questions like where do you want to travel, what kind of airlines go there, and what kind of hotels do they have there. This can help you narrow down the cards and help you get a better idea of what kind of card would work best for your situation, whether it's a co-branded card or a Chase card. Thinking about this well in advance or pretty much constantly has really helped me over the years to plan the kind of points that I want to earn and then take vacations with it. Because I'm telling you, if you were to decide today on what credit card to get for a trip 2 months from now, it's not going to work out because you will need enough time to first get the credit card, then meet its minimum spend, earn the points, and then spend the points. The math does not work out. This is kind of a medium term game in my opinion. So all the decisions need to kind of start happening T minus 6 months. And in my case, these decisions actually start T minus 10 to 12 months because that can buy you enough time to first earn the points and then find the right kind of award availability to book your travel. And number 2 would be to consider the timing of high sign-up bonuses. Now, this is a little harder than number 1, and I don't want you to keep waiting around for a high sign-up bonus to show up. But hear me out. For some of Chase cards, like the Chase Sapphire cards, I noticed that over the past 2 years, the high sign-up bonus timing has followed a pattern. Last year in 2023, they came out with a high sign-up bonus of 90,000 points on the Chase Sapphire Preferred card in April. And this year, again in April, they came out with a high bonus on both Chase Sapphire Preferred and Reserve cards. And in both these years, I was able to take advantage of these offers. So in April of last year is when I applied for the Chase Sapphire Preferred card. And in April of this year, we had my player 2 apply for the Chase Sapphire Preferred card. So what I did for myself is waited out until I saw a high sign-up bonus offer on one of these cards. And until then, what I did was to keep 1 to 2 spots open on my 524 timeline so that I could apply for this credit card easily. If you are in a situation where you're able to do this and wait it out, it's really worth it because you get extra 15 or so thousand points, which is very valuable. Just for reference, back in 2021, Chase Sapphire Preferred card came out with a 100,000 points bonus offer. That is just insanely good. But sadly, I wasn't eligible at the time. One more thing to remember with Chase cards is that you are eligible for a sign-up bonus more than once. So all Chase cards have a cool-off period, which is essentially the period that you need to wait before you can sign up for the new credit card and be eligible for the new bonus. This does come with certain conditions, such as you should not have that card active at that time. So this kind of varies for all Chase credit cards, but when you have passed X number of months since you earned your last bonus, you can become eligible for that bonus again when you sign up for that card again. And keep in mind that these X number of months are counted from the date when you earned the bonus and not when you opened the credit card. This rule has made up a very important part of my Chase credit card strategy because I was able to successfully get Chase Sapphire Preferred sign-up bonus 2 times now. For Chase's Sapphire cards, the cool-off period is 48 months from when you have earned the last bonus. And remember that this applies to any Chase Sapphire bonus that you earned. So let's say you got a Chase Sapphire Reserve card and earned its bonus last year, and now you're trying to apply for a Chase Sapphire Preferred card. But since you have not passed that 48-month mark with a Chase Sapphire bonus, you will not be eligible for the Chase Sapphire Preferred bonus this year. So let's quickly recap the factors that we've discussed so far that can help you create a Chase credit card strategy. The first one is Chase's 524 application rule. So this rule means that if you've opened 5 cards in the past 24 months, Chase will not approve you for one of their credit cards. Next, we talked about creating a list of credit cards that you care about, depending on your travel plans, your budget, and your upcoming expenses. And the third thing that we talked about was knowing your eligibility for a credit card bonus more than once. The next thing that we'll cover is probably the one thing that we all care about the most. It's what to do with that credit card after the first year of having it. So you got the credit card, you earned its bonus, and you also spent the bonus. But now it's time for a renewal and your new annual fee is about to hit. What do you want to do now? Here's how I think about it. Whenever I get a new credit card, I try to keep that card for at least 2 years. There was a time when I would keep a card for only 1 year, but now I have sort of changed my strategy and I keep a card for at least 2 years. You can call it a personal preference. I start by thinking about how much return I'm getting on my investment for those 2 years, this investment being the annual fee. And gladly, this is something that I've not struggled with my Chase credit cards. For example, I've had the Chase Sapphire World of Hyatt credit card for a while now, and I pay its $95 annual fee every year. But what I get in return is 1 annual free night certificate. And with every annual free night certificate, I am getting at least $150 of value each year. In certain years, it's also been up to $300 to $400. So definitely a great return on my investment, and that's why I've kept this card for, I think, 8 years now. But let's say in your case, the annual fee has hit and you're not seeing that value anymore, and you really do not want to keep this card anymore. Let's take the example of the Chase Sapphire Preferred or the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. In that case, instead of canceling this card and hurting your credit score, I recommend that you look into product change. You could product change your Chase Sapphire cards to any of the no-fee Chase Freedom cards. So this would include the Chase Freedom Unlimited card and the Chase Freedom Flex card. And the great thing about these cards is that you can keep earning your cash back that you can eventually convert to points. However, to use these points with travel partners and transfer them to travel partners, you will need a Chase Sapphire card or a Chase Inc. Business Preferred card. So one way to create a strategy around this is to keep earning cash back that you can eventually convert to points whenever you get a Chase Sapphire credit card next. Or you could actually look into combining your points with a family member. Chase lets you combine your points with a family member for free, and this has been a key part of my strategy over the years. So, let's say a family member of yours happens to have a Chase Sapphire card when you do not. This is actually a great example of combining your points and using your family member's Chase Sapphire account to transfer your points to travel partners. This was just the example of the Chase Sapphire cards, but with the co branded cards, you'll have to have a different strategy and approach it differently. Not all co branded cards will let you combine your points, so definitely look into that when you're creating your year two strategy for co branded cards. The moral of the story here is that you should know that you can leverage points pooling options when available and research into those options. One more factor to consider when creating a credit card strategy with Chase is to work with a player too if you have one. But what's a player too? Player two can be a friend, a family member, a roommate, or a partner who you travel with more often and can create a credit card strategy with. So you can work together and get credit cards that have benefits that can complement each other. For example, if one of you has a Chase Sapphire card and the other person just downgraded to a Chase Freedom Flex card, like we discussed before, you will be able to leverage the points pooling option and travel together. And another great advantage of having a player too is that you can refer each other and get more points. This is something that I have been doing since the very beginning, and I've always enjoyed the benefits that come with referring a player to. Okay, so one last thing that I want you to think about when you're creating your credit card strategy is to not think too long term. That's because very long term credit card strategies will hardly ever work. And why is that? It's because all these reward programs are constantly changing, and more often than not, they end up getting devalued. So, when you're creating a credit card strategy, try to think 1 to 1.5 years forward, but don't depend on your plans far too into the future to create a strategy now. And one more very important thing is that as soon as you earn your points, create a plan to burn them. Like I said before, these points always get devalued eventually, so there is really no point in hoarding these points. You're better off just making a plan today and using it at its best value instead of compromising on that value 2 years from now.
Now it's story time.
So here's how my Chase credit card journey has been over the years and what I'm planning for the future. So I got my first ever Chase credit card in 2017, and this was the World of Hyatt Chase credit card. And by the way, I still have this credit card to this day. Like I said earlier in this video, the $95 annual fee that I pay on this credit card has always served me really well. And this fee used to be $75 up until about 2020. So even better ROI until 2020. With this credit card, I don't really have a specific strategy, but what I've found in my case is that I do have travel plans every year where I'm able to use the Hyatt free night certificate and get value for $150 to $200 at least each year. So keeping this card definitely makes sense for me. But your mileage may vary. My next Chase card was the very famous Chase Sapphire Preferred card that I also got in 2017, a few months after the Hyatt credit card. So there was a friend that got me into credit cards. I used his referral to sign up for this credit card, and there was no elevated offer running at the time. So I got, I think, 60,000 points from it. My first big redemption with my credit cards was to plan a trip to Hawaii. So I stayed at the Hyatt Regency Maui, for which I used my Hyatt points as well as some of my Chase points. After this is when I really started to create a two-player strategy. So a few months after getting my Chase Sapphire Preferred card, I referred my player 2 to get the same card. And we were both able to use his points to travel more. So after 1 year of having the card, I did not really know what to do with that card because the annual fee was coming due soon. There were no new points to be earned. And at that time, there was no Instacart credits or hotel credits on that card. So I went on to consult my friend who was my credit card guru, who recommended to me that I do not cancel the card, but instead go for a product change. So at that time, I decided that I will product change my Chase Sapphire Preferred card to the Chase Freedom Unlimited card, and I'll get my Player 2 to product change to the Chase Freedom card. So my strategy behind product changing to two different cards was that I was going to get 1.5x for unlimited purchases on the Chase Freedom Unlimited card, whereas my Player 2 would be able to get 5x on rotating quarterly categories. And eventually, we ended up pooling those points. Getting to that in a minute. By the way, Chase Freedom is a legacy card and it's not available on the market anymore. It has been replaced by Chase Freedom Flex card now. Continuing on the timeline, we changed to these no fee cards in 2018 and stayed put with these cards until about 2023. Of course, we opened a bunch of other credit cards in those times, and then we're putting our spend on those cards according to when we needed to do that. So, fast forward to 2023, this is when I opened the Chase Sapphire Preferred card again. By this time, I became eligible to earn the sign up bonus again because I had passed 48 months from the last time when I earned the bonus on the card. And I also waited until 2023 because I wanted to jump on a high bonus. Now, on to what my Chase credit card strategy is for the future. So, honestly, right now, I don't really know what my next Chase credit card will be because we already have two Chase Sapphire cards in our household, and we got one of those just this year. And I cannot really think of any Chase credit card that fits into my travel plans over the next year or so. But if there's a really attractive high offer going on one of the Chase co branded credit cards, like maybe the United Explorer card, I think I'll definitely consider that. I for sure am saving at least one spot from my 524 for any potential Chase credit cards that I might get in the next year or so. And that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this little walkthrough of my thought process helpful in creating a credit card strategy. And if you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. I will be including the timeline on all the key chapters in the description below, along with my credit card referral links and some free resources. So if you would like to support my channel, do check them out. Before you go, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you never miss an update. I'll see you in the next video.